do we give up too early? And I think that this is a question that I'm so interested in, as like for all of us to sort of navigate, right? Is because the ease of being able to find something new or to get connected to something new is so much more accessible than it's ever been. And our desire to feel like we need to be seen, right, is, I think, such a pull that if I just don't feel seen, I can connect to my boyfriend from high school super easy on a Facebook, you know? I can just go fishing and be like, hey, how are you? How are you? You look good in them jeans, sir. Like, what does that mean? And I think, I know Esther was on this stage last year, and I'm just so fascinated by this process of what does that do to our capacity. If I'm in this middle stage of not having an emotional language to have a conversation with you about what I need or what I want, does it just mean that I just go to the next one? So that we have much more breadth of relationship, but the depth of relationships is being thwarted. And so I think that the depth is the hard stuff.
I love that. And also what it reminds me of is earlier when Gabor was talking, and he was talking about how water rising to meet water, right, at the level. So we will meet people who are at the kind of same emotional level, depth, right, place of self-understanding, all of these things. This idea of if one person is doing a lot of work and the other person isn't, right? Or if their work is just different, it looks different, we're different people, right? I think that there's something also about the length of something. To me, I'm less interested in the length of something, and I'm more interested, are both people continuing to deepen? Are both people continuing to explore? Or are they, or is only one person? And I think that's when we can call it. And to your point, Jody, what is the motivation, right? Because what's that quote, right? Everywhere you go, there you are.
Yeah. But can you outgrow people? Right, like that's the question, right? Like and I love this. Who said this today about like, I don't want you to stay together because you met in Peru on, who said that? Was that you?
No. Oh, don't stay together.
Don't stay together because you have a perfect meat story?
Yeah.
Was that you?
Yeah.
Meet cute. Don't stay in the wrong relationship because you met the right way.
Yeah, isn't that brilliant?
Don't stay in the wrong relationship because you met the right way.
Oh, I love that. Yeah.
I love that, right? So like it's such a conundrum for me, which I think is, I think for all of us, right? So like that is the question I think we get the most, or I would get the most in the couples work, is like, should I stay or should I go?
And I actually think it's the wrong question to ask. The questions that we ask ourselves are so powerful because they're the rudder of how we're going to think and then ultimately behave. It changes your mindset when you ask a different question. So if I'm asking myself constantly, when is enough or when am I going to leave, then basically I'm looking at my partner to either change, and if they don't change, I'm marking boxes. Okay, it's about time. When am I going to leave? So you're basically waiting, right?
Yeah.
If I ask myself, have I done enough? Have I done everything I could? Now you're taking the power back. You're taking ownership, and then that's going to lead to different behavior. Now instead of waiting, you're being more proactive, and then you're trusting it's going to play itself out, right? So
authenticity over relationship. I think that was so powerful in what Gabor said today, right? Yeah. Authenticity over relationship. I never knew that was an option, right? Particularly as a woman, I never knew that was an option, that you could choose that, right? When you get married, you stay there. That's the plan, right? And so I loved that sentiment because I think there's also that sense of, Lynn, some of us grow and some of us don't, and then is that okay? Would you say?
Yeah, and I do think one side, you're asking if we give up too early. I see a lot of people stay too long.
Yeah. Amen.
Right? So longevity is irrelevant.
Yeah.
I'm really, exactly what you said. Quality matters more than longevity. Why are we celebrating 20 years, 40 years, 50 years? Are we living our richest lives? Yeah. Like, I hope to live till I'm 108. That's my ultimate goal. But and I love life, like every minute. But I think that we want to have richness in our connections of all kinds, which is why I first of all really like the way you're asking to reframe the question, but also how do we reframe the relationship, right? Like what would be better? Because I see people who are beautifully connected. I'm thinking of a couple in their 70s and 80s who were married, but they're much more beautifully connected and have a much richer connection as friends now.
Yes.
I guess 50 or 40 something years later.
You want to live to 108?
Yeah.
Oh my God. If I can't wipe my own ass, I'm out. I'm done. I'm good.
There's going to be an app for that by the time I'm 108.
I know most of the conversation has been around partner to partner, and then I guess my question is more around the community surrounding that relationship. So there's been a lot of conversation around choosing authenticity or attachment, but what happens when somebody you care about, you're seeing them consistently choose attachment over authenticity, or breaking up with themselves to stay in a relationship, and you're seeing more of a toxic relationship surrounding that? Like, it's not your place, because it's their decision to make. But as you see them getting more and more hurt, where do you step in? What do you do? And like, that's something that I'd be curious to get your thoughts on.
I mean, yeah. I think what Jody said about this idea of being with someone and walking someone home, like I said last night, I truly believe, and I know not everybody agrees with this, that we are a wildly codependent society. We are very uncomfortable with other people's discomfort, and we do believe that it is our job/responsibility to fix and save them from themselves. And a lot of times, we have to realize that our soul's journey is different than their soul's journey. We don't know what's best for anybody, right? They are learning, even in the pain. That's where we grow, is actually in the pain, right? And so for us to say, this is not what's good for this person, even if from the outside, everyone would say, well, look at this horrible relationship, right? But I would have to sit back and say, but I don't know what their life's journey is supposed to be. If I interject myself and take them out of this painful experience, I might actually be disconnecting them from a real opportunity to grow that will impact them for the next 50 years of their life, right? I had a supervisor when I was still in training as a therapist. I had a girl who was just what I felt was bad choice after bad choice, an adolescent. And she was very like, well, I just can't do this, and this just always happens to me, and there's nothing I can do, right? Every time I tried to give her something, she would like bat it away, right? And I would come into supervision every week, and I was so frustrated with this girl. I just wanted to fix her. And my supervisor in a group setting of peers said to me, I'm going to say this to you, and I'm going to say it like this because you're a New Yorker, and I know you can handle it. And I was like, oh God, what is this one? And he goes, who the fuck do you think you are? And I was like, sorry? And he's like, you're not God. You don't get to decide what their suffering looks like, or if they should or shouldn't suffer. That's their life. They have free agency. They get to choose. And also, and this is some Al-Anon work, y'all, the more we attempt to swoop in, the more we're telling that person that we do not believe in their ability to do what's best for them. We are feeding into their belief that they are incapable, they are incompetent, they are unlovable, they are, right, unworthy, all of these things. So the best thing we can do for the people we love that are struggling is to sit side by side with them in that, but do our best to not try to save them from that. Because I said it last night, that is actually more about me and my discomfort with their discomfort than it is about them.
Can I just make a little quick comment about this, Vanessa?
Please.
Because
Yes.
I have a little bit of a different opinion around this.
Please, give it to me. Like I said,
I know, and I think this is good. This is why we're here,
Yeah.
right? What if, you're legit in an unhealthy relationship,
Yep.
and you've got your blinders on,
Yeah. Happens a lot.
and the people around you can see, actually, this is not good for you. We love you
Yeah.
deeply, and this is what I'm seeing.
Yeah.
I'm seeing that actually you're being hurt.
This happened
and I don't,
recently, actually.
right?
with a
So,
friend.
so that I think that is a loving act.
I
And I
agree.
understand that there may be, like, does that come across as interference? Maybe, but I think if we love somebody dearly and we have their best interest at heart, we could say it in a very loving way and then obviously step back. But I think that is love.
So what you just said, two things are really important. One, you say it in a loving way, and two, you step back. The other component I would say on that is, did they ask you for your opinion?
Probably not.
Right. And the only reason I say that, yeah. So this is one of the things, right, in like therapy school. It's like we learn like, are you telling me this because you want my feedback or do you just want me to listen, right? We're trained to actually, when we're trying to listen, to really listen to somebody, to ask that question to them, right? Should I be reflecting back what I hear or do you want me to give you feedback, right? So I hear you, but you made a couple really good points, which is I say it in a loving way, I step back, and I also want to offer that sometimes it's really important that we ask them if they want to hear our feedback, Because you could say it in a loving way, but if they don't want to hear it and they're not ready to hear it, you then become the enemy and now you've just severed your relationship and now you're not there to support them, which I've seen happen too. So if your ultimate goal is to be in support of them and they suddenly say, well, you know what, Robin, fuck you and your opinion, I'm in this, right? Who asked you? And now we've ended that relationship. It's like, okay, well, am I supporting now? Because now the relationship's been, tainted or whatever. So it's like a yes and, right? I mean, there's never a black and white. Obviously, every relationship is different.
Well, I think also what's important about that is that like there's two very separate issues when safety is an issue.
Yes.
Right? So then all bets are off,
Yes.
right? So I think that's very different. If I see
Yes.
somebody getting hurt or there's domestic violence is at an all-time high in this moment, in this province, in this country, and I think there is a big difference between saying, this isn't okay, I'm going to intervene or I'm going to call the authorities or I'm going to do something
Yep.
that is going to be there to keep you safe. So let's separate that from, I think, what Vanessa's talking about, which is very, very critical. The most generous among us are the most boundaried.
Yes, yes.
It's taken me a very long time to learn that lesson. Because I thought in this whole quest for reconnecting a disconnected world that I needed to be the thing that could connect everybody. Mm-hmm. I would stay till midnight to put kids to bed at the children's hospital because nobody could do it as good as me. I mean, the nurses were fine, but you know what, fuck, like, I am good. And also, everybody would call me in the family, Jody, like this, my mother would say this to me all the time, Sean's getting a divorce. Cousin Sean, you know him?
Yeah.
Could you make sure he doesn't kill himself or somebody else? Could you just call?
Yeah.
Okay, absolutely. I mean, what the fuck am I? I'm not that good. But everybody assumed I was, and so did I, so I will take this on and that on and all of those things.
That's right.
So the idea, when we start speaking about boundaries, I assumed boundaries was this wall around me to keep everybody out. Yeah? But boundaries are boundaried people are the most generous among us, which means I need to be able to say, this isn't an ultimatum, this is what I need in order to continue to serve. This is what I need in order to be the best mom I've ever been, the best partner, the best sister, the best psychologist, this is what I can do. I can't do a 3-hour book signing, because I'm going to throw punch every last fucking one of you. But I will sit up here for an hour and give you everything I got, and then I need to go. Otherwise, my kids will have nothing left tomorrow.
Yes.
Do you understand? And the most generous among us are the most boundaried. And that was a massive shift for me. I don't know how that lands for you guys, but I think it was like, okay, now I get it. Particularly when I became a mom, I think, was the thing for me that made the most sense.
Yeah, I love all of that and the yes and, because that's the thing, I think, like the people who are wanting to share and wanting to support and wanting to be of service, we don't have the answers.
No.
Right? We're kind of anti-experts.
Well, I mean,
Only Jody's got him in her pocket.
joking.
Was
no.
that Alicia who asked the question? Yeah, so I can't see you because it was so bright, but I know you're also Jamaican. And I think that there is this balance with cultures that are more Western, maybe more individualistic, and community can be different in different spaces, right? So that communal, very collaborative, like we struggle with like the language of boundaries. If I were to say boundaries to my mother, it probably wouldn't be a fruitful conversation. So I think that marriage of considering exactly what you said as in, who are you? Right? Because I fall into that where I'm like, I need to fix this, I need to do that. Well, who am I? Am I so important? But balancing that with the community aspect where we do take responsibility for one another, where we do raise one another's children, where we are responsible for all the people around us, whether we see them and touch them or even thinking globally. So I think that I really appreciate that you brought up community. I can't see you because of the light. Where are you? There you are, way in the back. Because you came, did you come late? Did you do the Jamaican thing and come late? Yep, she did. I knew she'd be in the back. But there's that piece around community that it's so important that I think that even I lose, when I was talking about sex earlier and all those conversations you need to have, it's very individualistic or couple focused, right? Whereas we also have to consider those values as part of a greater community. So I'm glad you brought that up. I appreciate it. And I think it's something that all of us, as helpers, as therapists, we're always thinking about, like, okay, how can I help you individually, but how does this coexist in a world that might be different for you than somebody else? So thank you.